guys, welcome back to another Stitches and Stories. We have some poor camera quality today because my phone is crap. It is dying and I am waiting on a replacement and it does not want to upload videos. I did manage to record this video, but then it wouldn't do anything with it. It just overheated and shut off. And so we are going to re-record it on here and we are going to do it that way and hope for the best. Hold on, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And I'm in a scarfy mood, so I have all this extra yarn from the project. I finished that cowl for my niece, and so we're going to start a scarf today while we talk about a book. And today's book is not the one that you guys were expecting. Dun dun dun. I know, we were gonna do X Marks the Spot next, but I mentioned, I think, a couple of videos before that I have started collaborating with a publishing house. They are Phoenix Voices Publishing, and what we're doing is they give me a free ebook, and then I read it and give an honest review. That's important for you guys, alright? It is honest. I am allowed to say whatever I want about this book. I still use my little guide that we use for it and everything, okay, guys? But when I get these books done, yeah, because they are not always going to be in my normal genre of reading, and therefore might take me a little longer to finish, right? So when I get them done is when I'm doing a review. And I finished this book today, and so actually I finished the book last night, but I wasn't going to do the review and record it at like 2 in the morning. So we're doing it now. And so when I get them done is when I'm going to upload them. And that means that there might be 2, 3, 4, 10 different reviews in between each PvP book review. But that way they get up and they get done and you guys get to see them. And I don't have to, like, if I waited to do this one until did all of our other reviews that are listed, that would be probably at the end of the year. All right. And I didn't want to do that. I want to get them out ASAP because, like, this one is a fresh book. It's newly published. And I want to make sure that that word gets spread out, especially since they're so nice to gift me the ebooks. And so we're moving them up the list. And once they get done, they get published. All right. And when I get handed them, I start them as soon as I finish whatever book I am currently reading. I will say that has thrown a little kink in my thing because I was focused on reading this and I was not watching the date, and I realized that it's close to the 14th, and that is when this next Goodreads challenge ends, and so I have to finish the book Resistance of Witches before the 14th in order to get that challenge, and my goal this year is to get every single Goodreads challenge so I can explore outside of my usual genres. However, this book is in my genre and I'm like soaring through it. So hopefully we do it, but I didn't start it until today. And I got the audiobook, but it's a 13-hour audiobook. So hopefully. Anyway, the book that PvP first was willing to give me, I let them pick the book. They had contacted me and we have a contract, and they asked, what do you not want to read? And I said, the only thing I really don't want to read is super dark romance. I don't think it would be a fair review because I don't like it. I don't like the stalker trope. I don't like the in love with a serial killer thing. All right. And so that was the only thing I told them not to give me. I don't mind horror every once in a while. Horror. Okay? I don't mind it every once in a while, especially during spooky season. So the first book they gave me is not one that I myself would pick up on my own, which is always a fun thing to get. It is Acropolis Dungeon by Ireland Lorelei. I had to Google how to say your name, Ireland. I'm sorry. It's Ireland Lorelei, and it's 204 pages. It was published in May of 2025, according to Amazon. It's fiction, and the themes are primarily personal exploration. So we have two main characters in this book. We have Colt, who is a Wyoming ranch boy, and we have Daphne, who is a Greek independent woman. Okay? This book is 18 plus. And before I go any further in this review, if you are not 18, please leave. I love you guys. I know that some of you are going to stick around even though I told you to leave, especially if you are some of my teenage readers who lurk here but don't follow me. Yes, I know you're here. Okay, I've had conversations with you guys. Go ahead and follow me, by the way. Go ahead and subscribe. Ain't no one gonna judge you for your reading taste here, and if they do, they don't have a right to judge you for your reading taste. Everyone can read whatever the heck they want. However, I am obligated as an adult to tell you that this is an 18 plus book. Okay, and so you need to go into this knowing that there are 18 plus themes and scenes. It deals with BDSM a lot, and if you do not know what that is, kindly click out of this book. Okay, um, that is something that as a younger reader you need to explore on your own. I guess. I mean, if you are going to pick up a BDSM book, pick up this one, I guess. When I was a teenager, I picked up some that were very toxic, and as a teenager, your mind is still growing and you are very impressionable. And it did have an impact on my life and how I view relationships. And I'm still kind of working through some of that because what you consume, the media you consume, does shape your mind. It does shape your ideology. It does shape your view of the world. And especially when you are an impressionable teenager. Okay? And so be careful. So if you are not 18, I would very much appreciate it if you clicked off this because I'm going to be discussing some 18 plus things. If you are 18, you are more than welcome to stay. All right? So let's get into it. We have Colt and Daphne, right? Colt is a rancher. He needs a break. He is in control of everything in his life. He is in control of the family ranch. He is in control of his family. He is the one who inherited everything when his dad died. All right? And so we have Colt, and Colt decides he needs to take a vacation, which is something he doesn't do. But he's been wanting to visit Greece since he was a teenager, and he decided that since everyone's on his case about taking a break, he would take this opportunity to go to Greece. And so he goes to Greece, and while exploring the streets, he stumbles upon this place called Acropolis Dungeon. Okay? Colt has no experience in BDSM's singing, playing, or kink negotiation or anything like that, or an exchange of power, okay? Spook, love, don't sit on my thing. I'm trying to read notes. I know. He has been sitting with me all day reading, and so he just wants to come back. He's handing me my headphones because he knows what happens when I put them in. So he stumbles upon Acropolis Dungeon, which is a BDSM club, and he walks in very unsure of what he's going to face. He's heard stories about it because one of his ranch hands has been involved in scenes before and has talked a little bit about it, but he doesn't really know what to expect. He goes in and he's picturing like a dungeon-esque scene, but he walks into this very lavish, very low-key, kind of almost speakeasy vibe place. We're talking velvet furniture, low lights, cool jazz music, a bar with cocktails, that kind of thing. And unbeknownst to him at first, while he's walking around, Daphne is watching him because he's so out of place, okay? He's a Wyoming cowboy in Greece. She knows he doesn't belong there, all right? It's very obvious that he's an American, and it's very obvious that he's out of his element. And Daphne is a dom. When I read these books, which is very rare, I do occasionally read BDSM, but when I do, it's very rare that I get one like this at all. It's very rare that I pick up the books in general because I have my favorite genres, as we all do. But um, when I got into this, in high school, this type of stories, I was big on it for a while, and I would usually read MM versions of it, and MM is male on male. All right, occasionally I'd read FM, but there was always this, there was always a distinct line, okay, where one of the characters who, for lack of another term, because I'm not sure what else to use, the more feminine of the characters would always be the submissive, and the more manly of the characters would be always be the dom. that gets shifted in this book. And I think this might be the first book I've read where there's a shift like that. But like I said, I don't go out of my way to pick up these books anymore, and um, it's just it's not something that's come across my plate. So it could be very popular in this genre. I'm not sure, but it was different for me to see that she was the dom and he was the sub. It is what is going on? Spook, you stupid butt. You sat on the cap locks key. Don't do that. He sat on a key and made something pop up on my computer screen. Um, what were we talking about? Yeah. So she's the dom, he's the sub, and he's very new to this world, and she's very acquainted with this world, okay? So we got two different sides of the spectrum here with a twist in it. All right, this primarily BDSM stands for, well, I'm not going to go into everything it stands for, but it primarily focuses on the DS part of it, the dom sub element. And so he's new, and because of that, we have a lot of boundary exploration, a lot of kink exploration. We have ice play, blindfolds. We have an identity crisis, which I think is important in here because this is a strong guy who has been taught to be the man of his family, who's been taught to be in control and have power and take care of everything on his own and not rely on anyone else, right? And now he's realizing that he wants to let go. He wants to give that control to someone else because he needs to be vulnerable. He doesn't want to be in charge all the time. It's taking a toll on him. And so that, of course, that knowledge of learning that aspect of one's life is going to cause a slight identity crisis. So it's important to the story that that's in here, and I'm glad it's in here. It's not a huge thing because the story's only 204 pages, so it's not super like 10 chapters worth of him freaking out, not knowing if he wants to go back to this world or not, or if she is the maiden of his dreams. No. Alright, it's a couple paragraphs, but it's there, and it's important to point out that it is there and that that would happen in this situation. It does a lot with power exchange and having to do healthy research on your own. She explains some things to him, but then tells him and encourages him to look up stuff on his own as well, so he doesn't just take her word for it. It's told in third person limited. Third person limited is a type of storytelling where the reader only knows what the character knows at that time. All right? And so because this has dual narrators, dual main characters, we have Colt and we have Daphne. It's told in third person point of view from their point of view. Okay? So it's not like I, he, this. Okay? It's not like I did this and I saw him do this. It's like he did this, Colt walked here, Daphne did that. It's still third person, but it's limited where, like, Daphne in her chapters, for the longest time, she doesn't know Colt's name. Alright, she just knows him as the cowboy, and she calls him in her mind, in her narrative in here, the cowboy. Alright? That's probably the best example I can think of is in his he calls her by her name because he meets her and she introduces herself and says, "Hey, I'm Daphne," but he doesn't give her his name right away, and so she calls him Cowboy, but then she gets his name and calls him Colt, and so you know only what the character who's talking knows. You do know a little bit more in the fact that there are two characters in here. There is a dual narration. So you do know what both characters know, but you don't know everything. You don't know everything that the author knows. You don't know everything that's going on behind the scenes. You just know those two characters' experiences and what they are aware of. So that makes it a third person limited narration, okay? Which is very good for this type of story and very well done. The thing with these types of stories, romance in general, is there is no super climatic moment like a boss battle, all right? Your climax comes from drama and emotional, um, what's the word that I'm looking for? Emotional exploration, in a sense. Real emotional realization, realizing what you feel for someone else, realizing how someone else feels about you. It's very emotional based and less physical based, And you'd be like, well, this is a BDSM. Isn't there a lot of physical based stuff? Well, yeah, there's physical scenes, but that's not what this genre is about. And that's not what, as someone who has read a lot of BDSM in the past, that's not what that is about either. It's a very emotional setup. It's a very emotional setting. It's a very, it's focused very much on trust, okay? And negotiation and communication. And so this is very emotion driven. The plot is. There is a kind of cliche romance moment at the end that I'm not going to tell you about because it'll ruin the ending for you. It will spoil it. But I think it fit with this book. I really do. I think it was nice to have that in there and have that juxtaposition going on because you have some darker themes, but you also have, it's not about the darkness for them. It's about the emotional connection that they are making, and we see them both get really frazzled is basically what it is. He's supposed to stay for a week, ends up staying for almost a month in Greece, and then he has to decide, is it the lifestyle he misses, is it her he misses, and she has to decide, does she even like him, because she doesn't do temporary, and she knew getting into this that it was going to be temporary, but then she was like, I got too attached, what do I do? And so it leads up to a really good um, cliche romance moment that I like. For critiques, I only really have one critique about it. It's something I'm guilty of too. All right, I can't fault Lorelai for doing this because I did it in my first novel. All right, and if you do it right, it works. And she did it right. I did it wrong. I'm gonna be honest. White Lies. Please read past chapter 2 if you ever read it because I screwed up by implementing this there, and I'm aware of that, and I move on. All right, she used it appropriately. So dual scenes, when you have narrators, sometimes you'll find a book and there will be a scene that feels like it repeats, and it does technically repeat because it's told from two different points of views, but it's the same exact scene, it's just a different angle. All right, sometimes it works for the story, sometimes it interrupts the flow. You really have to be careful with it. Like I said, I've screwed up with this in the past because I've had people say, oh, this is boring, this is not how I want to get into this story because you just told me the same thing twice but from two different people's point of view. In here, though, she waits a few chapters, so you're already hooked in the story, which is important, okay? Don't use it as an opening like I did. Second of all, she also, the characters are so different that even though it's the same scene basically repeated twice, it's not, because Colt walks in and he's observing the room. He's very confused on what he just walked into. Daphne sees him come in and she's observing him, and so you're getting the same scene but you're getting different outlooks on it because he's looking around noticing this lifestyle for the first time, and she who's used to this lifestyle is noticing him specifically. However, because of that, there are two explanations of what a St. Andrew's cross is, and impact play is literally the same explanation. I don't know if maybe, I don't know if she copied and pasted it, like she was like, I'm gonna do the same explanation another time on purpose, or if like she wrote it in one area and then decided that she liked it better in another area and didn't cut it out. I'm not sure which way she went. For me, that felt a little repetitive, all right, because I read the scenes back to back, first of all. And so you were getting the same information, the exact same information two times. But then at the same time, if you hadn't read it back to back and you were just getting back into the story after stepping away, you might need that refresher, especially if you're new to BDSM and the stuff that goes into it just for storytelling premises. If you're trying to read a story, you need to know what these things are because he's learning what these things are. All right. And so that was there, and I didn't take a point off for it because, like I said, it might have just felt repetitive to me because I read the two chapters back to back. All right. But it is a short book, so you're more than likely going to read them back to back. But I didn't take off for it. It was one little section that got repetitive, and that was it. So Themes are, as we talked about, our personal exploration. What did you think of this book? What will you take away from it? I said it's nice. It's not my usual read, but I enjoyed it. All right. It's pretty good. Um, what was the aim of the book and how well did the author fulfill it? So I think this has two aims. First of all, like we kind of talked about, entertainment. Okay. And second of all, the importance of understanding yourself. I think that is a very big undertone in this book. And so even though I do think that this book was primarily written to entertain, I do think that there is that underlying overall message. Okay. Would you recommend this book to others, and who is the target audience? 18 plus romance readers only. Okay. If you don't like any kind of romance, you're not gonna like this book. Um, if you, it's got dark romance themes to a degree, but not like super dark romance. Like I said, it's not stalker trope or anything like that. BDSM often gets classified as dark romance just because of the different kinks that are involved in it. All right, but it is not what I myself would consider dark romance. Okay, but 18 plus for sure. There are several scenes in here that you need to be aware of for that. When we put it on our little review wheel here, I gave it 5 in writing, 4 in enjoyment, 5 in setting, 5 in readability, 4 in plot, 5 in characters. And so when I added all that up and divided it by 6, we got a 4.6. And as according to our rule and the rule of math, since it's higher than a 4.5, it rounds up. And so Lorelai gets a resounding 5-star review for Acropolis Dungeon. Not a bad way to kick off our collaboration, I think. And I look forward to seeing what is handed to me next because, like I said, this is not a book that I would have picked up. I haven't read books like this in years. Probably in, let's see, it's 2025. Probably since college. So you're looking at least 10 years. No. When did I graduate college? 15. So, yeah, 10 years. Yeah, so about 10 years probably. I mean, I've read a few stories with it in it every once in a while, but it hasn't been something I've sought out. And so it was nice seeing this. It was nice being handed this. It was kind of a little break from everything else I've been reading, especially since I myself tend to pick up the same type of genres over and over again, as we all do. So I do highly encourage you guys to go pick this up. It doesn't have any reviews on Goodreads except mine when I looked at it. Like I said, it is brand spanking new. Says it was published May of 2025. So go review this thing. Go get some reviews up there. If it's not your usual read, pick it up. If it is your usual read, pick it up. Give her some honest to God feedback about what you think about it, and then come back here and tell us what you think about it, or tell me below if you've picked up the book or if you've read any other books by her. It's Ireland Lorelei. Like I said, she is the owner and is published through Phoenix Voices Publishing, and so there's that awesomeness. And I have put up my Goodreads review on my Instagram, and I've also linked it below along with the purchase link for this book and the link to the publishing house, so you guys can go check them out because if you're an indie author like me, they also do a lot of publishing for us, and so you can go and jump in on anthologies. You can publish through them. It is really easy, and I love them. I've published through them a couple times. I was in their Zodiac Killer anthology and their Raining on Earth anthology. So, I mean, I haven't had any issues with them. So, and I've gotten payments from them, royalty payments. I got like a $12 one a couple weeks ago, and I was like, holy crap, really? It made my day. I was able to go get cat food. It was nice. So, thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you again to PvP for collaborating with us with this video. And I look forward to continuing our collaboration. And I hope you guys go check out this book. Please, again, comment below. Let me know what you think. Let's chat. This is our book time. The next one that we will be doing is, of course, X Marks the Spot. I know it's late. Alright, I kind of got off our schedule and I'm no longer following our schedule anymore. I threw the schedule out the window. I'm uploading videos when I can at the moment because I'm trying to get back in the workforce. And so I'm looking at journalism because that's in my field. I have an English literature degree for a reason, guys. And so I'm looking at getting back into that. And one of the papers I've been talking to is a daily, which is different than what I'm used to, which is weekly based. And so my schedule is kind of a little wavery right now. And I don't know if it'll sort itself out before the end of this year or not, but I'm going to try to post when I can and pre-record videos when I can. So thank you guys for being here as always. And I did finish that cow for my niece that we were working on. I actually finished it in the video that I recorded for this before that my phone decided it wasn't going to work with. And so I will post a picture of that up on our Facebook page and on Instagram, guys. So if you don't have my links for that, I'm not linking them in this video, but if you go to my profile, I have my link tree up there. You can click on that. Ouch. None of you saw that. That didn't happen. You can click on that link tree and follow me. Alright, I totally did not just hit myself in the face with a knitting needle. Bye, guys. Love you all. Stay awesome, souls, because, I mean, I don't have to tell you to stay awesome. You're born awesome.